everyone, and welcome to Bourbon Bites. My name is Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. Tonight, we are mixing it up yet again, doing something I've not very much explored on this channel. I don't want to say never, because there was a stream 2 years ago where I did have a bottle of this type of, not spirit, but fortified wine. Tonight, we are exploring Tawny Port. It's a category that I have been very, very curious about. I've had many a whiskey finished in port casks. Some I have absolutely adored. So I thought tonight it's all about exploration, trying new things. So I found this really cool sample set, thanks to our friend Swan, who is here in the chat at Total Wine. This was just on the shelf. It includes a 10, 20, 30, and 40-year-old Tawny Port from Quinta Das Carvalhas. Now, I'm probably mispronouncing that. You see it's spelled here. Quinta meaning the vineyard that it's from. And yeah, I'll get into the history of port. This is basically going to serve as like an intro to port. Now, that being said, I'm new to it, but I do know some stuff. So if you're thinking about clicking out now, stick around. If you're watching the replay, feel free to skip around at the bottom. I'm going to put time codes for each of these different ones I'm trying. But I'm really excited to dive into these. Like I said, I've loved whiskey finished with port, and even the one that I had on my channel 2 years ago really inspired me to get into the spirit of, I say spirit because I'm so used to talking about whiskey, get into the wine a bit more. So we're gonna do a bit of a deep dive here, but I'm really excited to try this. I know a lot of you are port fans. I put a poll up on Instagram asking how many of you have actually tried port before, and I got pretty overwhelming response. I think let me pull it up and refresh it again. Actually, you know what? It ended up being 50-50. Wow, look, believe it or not, like 50-50. How many of you have tried port? 50% said yes, 50% said no. So tonight we're gonna try it out and see what we think of it. So little intro. Well, first of all, I want to say hello to a few folks here in the chat. I see a lot of people are excited about this. 5 fingers high five, as always. Cheers to you. Zophar is pre-gaming with coffee. Awesome. Well, that's, you know what? Port is often served after dinner. So I could see that being, coffee, port, they can go together pretty well. Steve A says, Tawny Port. I know Steve A has a few bottles of some of these, not this specific vineyard, but a similar one at similar age statements. So Steve, feel free to drink along. Let me know what you're thinking as you taste through the different years. That's what I'm really excited about, is we're trying the same winery, but we're trying it at 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, and 40 years old. Now, I've heard some people prefer the younger, some people prefer the older. I'm really excited to see which one is my preference. I see my signal is acting up a little bit. Can y'all still see and hear me? I know earlier I was having some issues with Twitch, so make sure y'all can still hear me. Are we still good here? We still good? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can still see me and hear me. It's showing that my signal is pretty unstable. So I closed out of Twitch, which a little blurry. Oh, okay. That's weird. Yeah, it's little fuzzy, but audio is good. Yeah, let me just do a couple things that might help that. Close out of everything that might be using my internet speeds. But yeah, that's weird. Let me know if it gets better, because I turned off my Steam was updating a few things, but I closed out of that. So hopefully it's okay. Let me know if that clears up a bit. It does still seem to be bad. I'll make sure that's fixed. Yeah, my internet speeds are not an issue, so I'm gonna try something. This is gonna be weird. Please stick around. Let me try to wait. Did it just fix? I think it might have just fixed. If it fixed, we're good. I think it might have fixed. All right, so I think it's working on fixing itself. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, anyways, so yeah, so I'm excited to see how these change. See if I prefer the younger or the older. So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about port. Well, I keep jumping the gun. I forget that I didn't say hello to everyone. So Steve A. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I got distracted by the signal issue. It scared me. Zover says, "What's up?" Don says, "Aloha, aloha to you, Don." Donnie says, "So excited about this." I am too. Swan says, "Chillin'." I don't know if he's chilling his port or he's just chilling in the chat. Either is fine. Donnie says to mash that thumbs up, click subscribe, and ring that bell and choose all so you don't miss a thing. Thank you, Donnie. Yeah, y'all make sure to that you are subscribed. Yeah, I'm really trying to get the subscriber count up because it's been kind of a little stable for a while. So Emily says, "Nom, I love port." Well, Emily, I am so excited to try it and explore it tonight and learn a bit more. Steve A says, "I'm not convinced that Tawny Port makes a good finish for whiskey. But overall, I love it in general." Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I tried to find what whiskeys are specifically aged or finished with Tawny Port. Had trouble finding that. Most of them just say port or they'll call out specifically Ruby Port. So I thought that was really interesting. There's very few that have listed that out. Independent Joe, y'all make sure to go check out his special birthday live stream. Is it tomorrow? Is it a live stream or a video? Whichever one, y'all go make sure to check it out. I think it might be a live stream. Y'all go wish him a very happy 50th birthday. Yeah. Cheers to you, Joe. Happy early birthday. I'm glad you're signaling, not my eyes. I was over, says check the poll again. Okay, let's see. Is there, you know what? Oh, it's still the exact same. So someone must have, oh, never mind. Hold on. 57% said yes. Okay. Well, it seems like the majority of you have tried this, so it's new to me. All right. Subscribe, people. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. Hanging with Bill says hello there. Hello to you, Bill. Cheers to you. I remember learning from Swan that it doesn't have a long shelf life once opened. Yeah, I heard it's like about a month is from what I read. I could be wrong. But I think it's about a month. There's a few that I've had, but it says port is almost certainly Ruby. And I'm curious if Cliffy agrees with us on the question about these ports. Don't want to influence your process, but we can chat on the Hangout. Speaking of Hangout, y'all know what's up. The after party hangout is happening right after this stream for everyone on Patreon. $10 and up. Y'all know how to get in on that. Speaking of that, there's also going to be a Wheel of Whiskey giveaway. I will say, last time I did a Wheel of Whiskey giveaway, we didn't get any entries. So if you want a really good shot at winning your own sample set, y'all know how to enter. If you don't, check out the Discord. The link in the description below shows you how to enter the giveaway. But yeah, it's the same process as always. So someone, hopefully someone will want to win this. This is a pretty nice set. I got it at Total Wine, but it was not the cheapest set. I will say the full-size bottles of these are very, very pricey, especially the 30 and 40. So if you want a chance to try it without paying full price, just win it on the Wheel of Whiskey. That's all I got to say. But with that, let's talk a little about a port. Let's go ahead and get our first one poured. I do have 4 different glasses here to sample, compare, do a little side-by-side. Don Nishida knows what's up, saying Wheel of Port. You're right. It's not the Wheel of Whiskey, but it's the Wheel of Port. Might have to change up the colors a bit tonight. Well, Don, you are now entered into the Wheel of Port. So we will be spinning that at the very end of this stream. So in about 7:55, so about 40 minutes or so. Sipping some Taylor Fladgate 20. I'm assuming that's a port. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not super familiar with the brands, but we'll talk a little bit about port in general. So port, if you didn't know, is a fortified wine. They are made from a blend of different grapes, almost entirely red grapes, although we have seen some white ports, aka the finish for the Midwinter's Night Dram, but almost entirely made from grapes grown in Portugal's Douro Valley. I may be mispronouncing some things, but it is a certain part of Portugal where it's most commonly found. However, ports can be made all across Portugal. Now, if you see a wine that is port that's not from Portugal, that's kind of not legal. Now, I will say I own a California port, and it is called a port, although it does call out that it's from California. I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, so they're grown in Portugal. Now, with it being fortified, what they do is they actually ferment these, and they add a bit of a high-proof alcohol base. Most of the time, this is brandy, as we were talking about on my Discord server. We had a little bit of conversation with our friend Tyler about it. But it doesn't have to be brandy. It could also be neutral grain spirit. But they use this to increase the alcohol level of the wine itself, usually around 19% ABV. And yeah, it kills off the yeast and converts sugar to alcohol. So it is fortified. Now, the difference is just the base level difference between Tawny Port and Ruby Port. Ruby Port is probably the most common. Ruby port is your more typical, like brighter, winier looking port. It's very fruity. It's very not very tannic in that way. So Ruby port is typically not aged in barrels, or at least not for as long. It's moved to bottles or stainless steel vats, and it's aged there because it does continue to develop in the glass or in the stainless steel vat. Unlike whiskey, which we know doesn't develop in the bottle. Port, however, does. Now with tawny, what they do is they actually put it in oak barrels and they keep it in oak barrels for a really long time. And there's various levels of tawny port. There's just the generic ones just labeled tawny. There's one that's like in between. It's not deluxe is a word I'm forgetting, but something tawny. But then there's these that have the age statements. Now the age statements are interesting. So from my understanding, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even though this says it's at 10 years, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the average age of the port in here. It means it is aged in a style that's similar to what they expect a 10-year port to be. So yes, it may be most likely actually 10 years, but I don't think it actually has to be at least 10 years old. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if those of you that may be a little more educated than I am, but I believe the 10, 20, 30, 40 are very common age statements that are more about how the whiskey, how the drink every time I say whiskey. That's a new drinking game for you guys. But how the wine is developed and how intense it is. So we're going to start with the 10. We're going to work our way up to the 40. And we're going to find out which one I prefer. But we do have our first glass poured. So that's a little quick overview of port. I could have made some errors. Again, I'm a whiskey channel. I just love exploring and trying new things. So please forgive me. Correct me in the comments below if I misspoke on anything. But yeah, that's kind of how this is done. Now, there are vintage versions of ports that do have specific years on them. Those are more age dated than the ones that say 10, 20, 30, 40. I think it's more by decade versus by like specific year. So when I say 10, it's not exactly 10 years, it's just by the decade. Thank you, Joe, of course, for dropping all the incredible links. Swan says, I'm so hyped for this. Well, hey, I'm hyped that you're here to watch this. Steve A says vintage port is aged for large vats for about 2 years, then bottled, and it's generally taken that it needs to stay in the bottle for an absolute minimum of 10 to 15 years before you think to open. Vintage port will be a specific year. Yeah, this is kind of what I was just getting at. But yeah, so there's vintage ports and then there's these tawny ports that are age dated, technically. So we're starting with the 10-year. So we have this in the glass. It is dark. I don't know if y'all can see how dark this is, but it is extremely dark. It's a lot more red than I thought. I know a lot of ports I've seen are more of the orange color hue. This one is more of like a purpley, very, very dark though. Let's go ahead and give it a nose. Ooh, man, it's been so long since I've had this. I was kind of taken aback by how good this nose is. Wow, okay. I am in dessert heaven here. It is still fruity. Now, I've heard that the lower years are a lot more fruity. The older ones are going to take more of those spicy notes, but when it's younger, it's going to be more fruity. And it is not quite raisin. It's still bright. It's a lot brighter than raisin. I'm getting a little bit of like blackberry or even like really like maraschino luxardo cherry, like really bright, sugary, sweet. There's a little bit of nuttiness there. It's not necessarily jumping out of the glass as nutty. It's definitely more fruit forward. It's not wine like. It does not smell like a regular red wine. It has a lot more of a darker fruit flavor on the nose at least. But I'm excited to give it a taste. I see some few folks coming in. Cheers to you, Run Rev, and cheers to everyone tuning in tonight. Let's try some 10-year-old port with or tawny port. I almost said port whiskey. Man, it's so hard. It's so hard being a whiskey channel. All right. 10-year-old port. Cheers. Mm. You know, it has a viscosity that's so rich and thick, but on the tongue, it actually doesn't have the thickness. It's a lot more oily and like slick, dare I say. But it's bright. This kind of does drink like a wine, a little thicker, I will say. But man, the nuttiness that I wasn't getting on the nose, I'm getting on the palate. It's definitely light. It's still like a peanut brittle kind of note. It's not necessarily like a darker nuttiness, but it does have a really sweetness that complements it. I mean, I almost get a little blueberry. Like it's not quite blackberry. It's a little more of the like blueberry flavor. I would find that hard to not like if you are a fan of like darker fruits, like your raisins, your prunes. I don't know, but in that territory, but it's really bright as well, like those blueberries and blackberries. So I do like it. I think that's a great start. I mean, now this one, just price wise, just so y'all know, this 10-year is about $40 for the full size bottle. So not inexpensive by any means, but also kind of the entry level range here. I see Whiskey Nose in the chat. What's up, Marty? Good to see you. And Chris, good to see you. Swanson sports a toasty edge with hazelnut and singed almond notes, while the core of plum cake and cinnamon holds steady through the finish. Yeah, I will say I do get the cinnamon, and it does give me hints of those darker fruits, but to me, it's still bright. It's more in the like blackberry, blueberry-ish flavor. Now, maybe that's because I'm a whiskey drinker and I'm usually so used to those really, really dark fruits. So maybe it's so bright and so sweet that I'm interpreting it as more of like the fresh fruits. But man, that's a great start. Really, really great. I could see sipping on this after dinner, before dinner, whenever you want it. But it's definitely something that seems like it would complement food or introduce food in a really, really nice way. I like it. Mm. So I'm gonna leave a little bit in my glass of each of these as I go through. But we're gonna work our way all the way to the 40. So we're gonna move on to the 20. We're gonna keep it going fast. For those of you that missed it, there is a giveaway. I'm gonna give away a sample set that includes all 4 of these. We'll spin the wheel of whiskey at the end of the stream. So let's move on to the 2020 year. I don't have my brightness set properly, but it's a 20-year Tawny Port, same winery. Are they called wineries? Do they have different names? I assume. I mean, they're obviously coming from vineyards and wineries. I just don't know if like the quintas that they use to source the grapes, if they're called wineries. I would assume so. Oh, color wise, this one's darker. We're getting darker, y'all. A little more orange, kind of what I expected it to be. Port House. Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I feel like winery is doing a disservice because they are wineries, yet they do a lot more with the fermentation and things. So I feel like it's a step above a winery. I can post these for all, but takes Wine Spectator and James Suckling reviews with a grain of salt. Well, not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I interpret it more brighter and fruitier. So, but we'll see as we get older in age. Independent Joe says, get your super chats to win that awesome sample set. Well, Joe, you are now entered into the Wheel of Port, as Zophar corrected me. Yes, we'll do that giveaway in about 30 minutes or so. So, are they not called a vineyard? I think it's like a vineyard, but they probably like add something extra. Maybe it's like vineyard and port house. Maybe I don't know. They are known as bodegas in Spain, but I don't know what to call it in Portugal. The port houses will get wines from multiple quintas. Yes, gotcha. Okay. So I will say that that's one thing about port is it's not usually like a single grape that they use for it. They use a variety of grapes. So there's like I think I heard that there's like 29 or so varieties of grapes that they use that are most commonly used. I think legally there's like 80 varieties that can be used to make a port. But in there's like 29 or so that are preferred. So they're all obviously like Portuguese, like very, very much that style of grape, but there's certain ones that really do highlight some of the notes that they love about port. Chris that just got back to the States. Cheers, y'all. Well, welcome back, Chris. I hope you had a fantastic time. Chris was posting all of his great travel photos and food photos on my Discord. Hey, again, well, if y'all have not joined the Discord, it's in the description below. It's such a fun community where we share our food, our drinks, our travels, and of course, our bottle purchases. So if you want to get into that great community, join it down below. Welcome back, Chris. Producer of port wines are often called shippers. Oh, okay. Why? Because they're transporting it? I don't know if you're just trolling, James, or you're being serious, but whatever the case, let's go to the 20 year. So this one's 10 extra years in oak. A lot more subtle in the nose. Let me go back to the 10 just to double check. Yeah, the 10 is jumping out of the glass. It's bright. It's fruity. It's in your face. The 10, though, on the nose, let me just give it a minute to open up. It's a lot zestier. Like, I feel like I'm getting more of the acidity to it on the nose. I really feel like that fermentation is, like, happening a bit more with this one, or at least the oxidation. I'm not sure exactly the term for it, but there's something interesting going on here that wasn't on that one. That one was sweet. This one's getting a little, tart on the nose, but still all that great fruit flavor. Um, ooh, I can't wait to give this one a taste. Let's go ahead and try the 20 year. Cheers. Ooh. Oh, that's a significant jump. To me, it is less sweet. So if you have a sweet tooth, maybe the 10 years for you. But this 20 year, it has some nuances. A lot of like interesting characteristics that I feel like we're missing on the 10. I did read that the 20 is actually one of the more popular ones. So take that for what you will. 20 years seems to be a sweet spot for a lot of folk in Port. I could see why. This is great. It almost has like a effervescence. It kind of reminds me, weirdly enough, of like drinking Dr. Pepper, like alcoholic Dr. Pepper, but like it does have some of that spiciness. It still has the cherry, but it's like got a nice little backbone there. I think the oak is coming through a little more. You can tell there's a bit more age on this one. It does have a lot more body too. Whereas I felt the first one was a little thin. This one is a little richer. I think we're finally getting somewhere. I can see why some people might prefer the 10 year. Like I said, it's sweeter. This one has a little bit of those tannins that I think might become from the oak, but I prefer this one. I'm excited to work our way up. Steve said that's exactly it. Many of the biggest port houses are English companies going back to when England was perpetually at war with France. Needed to get their wine from somewhere. Great history. Man, y'all know way more than I do. I honestly wish I had planned to research this a bit more today at work. Had a lot of curveballs. I'm just ready to get here and drink and have a good time because Lord knows I need it. And my fellow colleagues. And there were unfortunately some people let go today, and I really feel for them because they were incredible members of our team. So it's a very somber day, and I really do. Not that they watch my channel or anything, but it's like I do really feel for them and wish them the best of luck. So not to be a downer, but it's been a really weird day. So I'm really excited to be here drinking and celebrating with you guys. So think keep them in your thoughts. But I know they're on to bigger and better things. So yeah, fun stuff. Gotta love layoffs. Swan says at the perfect moment of aging, this 20-year port is smoothly textured and rich in dried fruit that are balanced by wood and spice flavors. Oh, I think I might be onto something because that's kind of what I said, right? Perfect moment of aging. I said this is one of the most popular 20 years, one of the most popular. I do think it is richer. I do think it is got the wood and it does have the spice. I interpret it a bit more of like an effervescence, like a little bit of tingling on the tongue, but there is some spiciness here. Fortified wines can handle long seaborne transport better. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought. I guess I didn't really consider that, but yeah, I know like whiskey, like if Jefferson's does this, the aged at sea, but like, does that really affect it? You never know with things like that. Um, yeah, Dr. Pepper, not Cheerwine. Maybe it's a mix of both. It's a best mix of both. What's up, Tony Bag of Donuts? Tony is one of our two newest patrons to the channel. So Tony, thank you so much for being a patron. He joined like last week, I think it was. And then Tony Curtis, of good friend of Todd Cooper, joined within the past week. So the two Tonys are now patrons. I love y'all both. Cheers and thank y'all so much for watching. But the port is treating me well so far. Tony Bag of Donuts. Joseph Brazo in the house. Sports metaphors. I'm missing them. I'm definitely missing them. Steve says I've been a big fan of port since for 25 years. Wow. Like I said, my first time trying it was 2 years ago. So it sounds like I have a whole world to explore, a whole new world, as they say. Joseph, you ruined my port fact. I planned a port fact to ask a poll. Literally, I have this written down to ask in between the 20 and 30 year. Which country do you think drinks the most port? Let me know. But Joseph already ruined the surprise. Because it's true. France actually drinks the most port out of any country. which is crazy to me. Now, it's funny is like they're the least discerning too. They also drink like some of the lowest quality port. Not that they all do, but some of the lowest quality port is imported directly to France, which I think is kind of funny. But they're huge port fans. Contains a lot of useless knowledge. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 30 year. No, it's funny. This one. You know what? I should have saved this a few more days because this Sunday, not this Sunday. Wow, it's why am I thinking this Sunday? Next Sunday will be my 30th birthday. So maybe I'll save a little bit of this to drink because this whiskey drink, this port is 30 years old. So also happy early birthday to Julie Like, who is my birthday buddy. Her and I were chatting earlier tonight. So also happy anniversary to Julie and Dan Like. Not sure. They're probably still live streaming, but yeah, so they have their anniversary this month. I have my anniversary in a month, and then Julie and I have the same birthday. So cheers to them. Y'all go check out their stream, watch the replay. But yeah, for now, let's move on to the 30-year port. Should I do a birthday stream next week? Should I do something special? What should I do? Y'all have any ideas? Let me know. I haven't really thought about it. I was thinking because like last year it was on Cinco de Mayo, so I did a mezcal stream. But this year we might do something different. Let me know if y'all have ideas. All right, color wise, this is pretty similar to the 20. I wasn't expecting it to be so similar. The 10 years, surprisingly, the more purple, but this one, that one are a pretty dark copper. And copper is a loose term because it's pretty dark. I'll hold it up, but it's probably not going to be visible. It's really dark, but it has some little bit of copper hues there. Steve A says, same with Scotch, drink a huge amount of Scotch, most of it low ends. Oh, with France. Low quality port. It'll get you drunk. That it will. Even more so than the US gets crappy blends. There are some pretty crappy blends, I will say. Port's used a lot in cooking too, yeah. Donnie said, I have socks older than you. Just kidding. Oh, time to get some new socks. Throw me out with the socks, I guess. I'm getting old. Did I hear something about it also being your anniversary? Yeah, my anniversary is end of May, so it's anniversary / birthday month next month. So it's not my anniversary yet, but it will be in May. So we're going to Hawaii to celebrate at the end of May. So I'm excited. It's kind of a mix of birthday / anniversary celebration. Unfortunately, my birthday falls during a really busy time at work, so I can't do anything for my birthday too crazy. But we're going to Hawaii to celebrate after. So yeah, fun stuff. Margarita Cliffy. Oh, in Hawaii? Oh, absolutely. There will be many. I'm more of a Mai Tai. When I'm in Hawaii, I gotta get my Mai Tai. That's my go-to tiki drink, but I love all tropical cocktails for sure. I have a pair of boots older than him. Well, I was gonna find a funny joke, but I can't think of anything. I'm nosing the 30 year now. More similar to the 20. Again, we're not too far off between these two. The 20, funny enough, had a smokier quality to it. Going back to it between the 30. The 30 does have a little bit more of the raisin qualities to it. It's a lot more less oak, but more dried fruit. More like maybe some more of that oxidation kind of having an impact on it. But I will say still really good. It's like it's leaning into like the dried, like I said, raisin apricot kind of thing, but still very, very fruity. And it's honestly sweeter than the 20 on the nose, but let's give it a try. Cheers. Mm. That's got the longest finish of them all. It lingers. It almost like is not, it doesn't have the effervescence, it doesn't have like the tingly feeling. That's toned down a bit. It has a bit of like a ethanol, like I think these are all the same ABV as far as I know. That's actually good info. I actually don't know. So the 10 year is 20%. The 20 year is it's a really dark font, y'all. 20%. And the 30 year is 20%. Okay, they're all the same. I was gonna say it does have a bit more of like an alcohol, like ethanol kind of thing that you breathe out. But yeah, it's good. It's definitely drier. It's one of the drier ones so far. Um, oh, margaritas for Cinco de Mayo. Sorry, Emily, I totally missed that's what you were saying. Gotcha. Okay. Have a pair of boots older than I am. My grandfather gave. Oh, that's so cool. But his significant other doesn't want to get into your boots. Joseph said 20 years is really a sweet spot for taste and value. Again, a lot of people say that for sure. I could see why. All right. Let me go back to the 20. I want another sip of the 20 to compare to the 30. Yeah, the 20 is a lot brighter. It still like lingers at the tip of the tongue. It's a sweeter, it's like more of a cherry sweetness, whereas the 30, the 30 has a bit more of a darkness to it. It has more of a like maybe even hazelnut. It gets more bitter. Maybe a little even like leather. I know we're talking about boots, but like it has some darker characteristics to it. I don't necessarily know that I prefer them. I think between the three so far, I think the 20 is still my favorite, but maybe I'll give the 30-second chance once we get to the 40. You know, maybe it needs a minute to open up a bit. But it is drier, like I said. It's a little more chocolatey too. It's more like richer, darky, darker, roastier than the 20. Very nuanced though. I think it's a lot more to appreciate in the 30 than the 20. However, flavor wise, I feel like maybe the 20 might be more up my alley. Swan said broad and welcoming in feeling with toasted sesame, warmed pistachio, membrillo, don't know what that is, and baklava notes rolling through in waves, but by a long date filled finish. I did say the finish is very long. Pistachio, interesting. Okay. I warmed pistachio. What a weird. I've never had a warmed pistachio, but I'm just saying, like, I did get like hazelnut, but I did see bitter. I could see pistachio. I love pistachios. They're probably my favorite nut, but I think I could see pistachio now that I see that comment. I'm still not the nut expert, apparently, despite what my husband says, but just kidding. Just kidding. Had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. We made a joke earlier. We had to go with it. Um, uh, were any of those boots made for walking? Diminishing returns the older you get, the extra age isn't worth the inflated prices. Well, let's go back and talk about prices because we skipped it over. So like I said, the 10-year is about $40. The 20-year is 52. So not a huge jump in price. These are full size 750 milliliter bottles. The 30-year, though, we are doubling the price. We're jumping up to $105 for the 30-year. And the 40-year that we're about to move to is $150. So we're trying some really, really nice stuff. And like I said, Wheel of Whiskey is happening in about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you want to get your own sample set to try all four of these 50 milliliter bottles, y'all know what to do. Super chat every $5, you get an entry. You have a pretty good odds so far. Although Don's got the most entries so far. So we'll see. Don might be hashtag I never win, maybe the winner. Yeah, Cliffy the Nut Expert. I should just change my username now, right? um, yeah, okay. You know what? Screw it. Let's move to the 40. We're going to save a little bit of each of these and come back through them and taste through to find out which one's my favorite Tawny Port. Do I like them younger? Do I like them older? You know, the world may never know. All right, let's go ahead and pour the 40 here. Let's see that. Make sure it's the same ABV. 20%. This was $150 for the full size bottle. It's a lot of money to spend on something that may only last about a month in your fridge. Just FYI, or your cellar, I guess. Those of you with wine cellars, fancy. All right, let's go ahead and give the 40-year a nose. Oh, okay. The hints of leather that I was picking up on the 30-year are in full force. It has a hint of vintage to it. Like no shit, right? It's a 40-year, but like it has a leathery, oaky. There's more oak. The oak is returned on this one. Oh man, I could sit here and nose this forever. It's definitely scaled back on the fruitiness. Does not smell nearly as fruity as the 10 or the 20, but it's really amped up the, I don't know, the vintage quality of it. It just really smells like a really nice old 40-year-old leather boot which I've never smelled, but I imagine maybe something similar. It does have a little bit of like a it's similar to some whiskey notes that I get, like some vintage whiskeys. It reminds me of some of that attic kind of note that I always say, like it's like a dusty attic, like grandma's attic, or an old cedar chest. It has some of those characteristics on the nose. It's very, very interesting. James Taylor with the super chat says, "Life is short. Find your smile." Well, what great words to live by, and what great words to cheers to. James, you are entered into the Wheel of Port giveaway tonight. Cheers to you, my friend, and let's try the 40 year. Have a good one. Wait, I'm not saying have a good one. I think I was Cliffy's drunk. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I did have a pour before this. I tried to find a port finished whiskey in my collection, could not find one. So I tried to find a sherry finish that was similar, and Cliffy may have did a little too much pre-gaming. So but cheers to you, James, and cheers to all of y'all watching. That's what I meant to say. I was like saying, like, how do I say this without signing off? Y'all. 40-year-old port. Let's give it a try. Mm. Ooh. That is divine. Divine is the first word that comes to mind. Brings back that effervescence that I had on the 20 that I really liked about the 20. Still has those darker raisiny notes that I did like about the 30, but I think it amps them up a bit. I'm surprised this is the same ABV. This drink's so much richer and so much more complex. Wow, wow, wow. Really good. Okay. Taste and sensibility is also in for the giveaway. Let's give Don some competition. I love port. Well, thank you so much. Yes, you are now entered. So there is some good competition now. I appreciate y'all. Hey, it does help out the channel. Not to diminish it, but every super chat does help the channel no matter the amount. I really appreciate the support. That and Patreon, YouTube memberships, however you choose to support, just know how much I appreciate it. It goes into things like this, buying these random one-off ideas to do a stream. No, like every time I like get super chats or a new patron, I'm like, what can I buy that can make a better show for these amazing folks that support me? So whether you're just a subscriber, a patron, or a super chatter, I just want to say thank you. As always, y'all are amazing. Y'all are the reason I do this. 100% the reason I do this. All right, some notes from Swan featuring a core of date, cherry, fig, and peach. Oh, interesting. Vibrant and gently mulled. White notes of green tea, persimmon, and bergamot with a hint of ginger grenache, echoing at the very end. Wow. That sounds like a very much more refined palate than I have. I just said it smells like leather and old boots, but in the best way possible. I will say fig. It smells like a fig Newton. Like, don't get me wrong. It's definitely fig. I'm not going to say I get white. Oh, never mind. I said white notes of green tea, wild notes of green tea. Not going to say I get that, but I will say I do get the fig. That's the easiest to recognize here. Which one is the 40? So I'm drinking, this is the 40 I'm drinking right now. Quinta Das, yes, the same one. Quinta Das Carvalhas. Carvalhas? I think that's how it's pronounced. I could be wrong, but using my best Spanish ever. Wine Spectator is imaginative. I definitely see that. Yep, it's the same house. 10, 20, 30, 40-year taster pack, which is what someone will win tonight. So, Zopher says, I'm game. Well, Zopher, you are in to the Wheel of Port giveaway. I said it right just for you. We're actually going to cut that off in about 5 minutes. So I know I said 7:50, but 5 more minutes or so to get your entry in. Just want to cut it off because I know we're going to probably wrap up a little here early and get over to our after party. Y'all know what's up. All right, let's take another sip of the 40-year. I will say color-wise, this is the most orange of them all. It's a bit tannic, but it's really complex. That's a tough one. You know what's weird is I almost feel like on first impression, the 40-year and the 20-year are pretty close in terms of favorites. I think they're both really good in their own ways. Now, of course, the 20-year is $50, the 40-year is $150. So $100 price difference between the two. I have to take consideration here. Now, I have heard that different houses or different quintas that produce these Some people prefer different vintages depending on um, where it's from. So some people may prefer the 20-year from this one. Some people may prefer the 30-year from another one. So it's all subjective. This is all just from the same port house, as we learned they're called. But let's go back. We're gonna go back to the 20. Let's do a little comparison and work our way through these. So we're going back to the 10-year. Actually, sorry, this is the 10-year. This is the $40 bottle. Let's give it a try. Oh, so different. Wow. That's the most shocking thing coming from the 40-year to the 10-year. The 10-year, it makes the 10-year drink look like a normal wine, like a sweet dessert wine. I will say there are still some really great things about this one. I think a sweet tooth will absolutely love this. Perfect table port. Man, I really do enjoy that. I just think the other ones are for the more nuanced drinker that do prefer to dive a bit deeper and get a little more of the spicy, tannic oakiness. I think that the 10's fine, but I think we only go uphill from here. Patrick said, "I can't let Zofer win now, can I?" Well, Patrick, you may not. You may just beat him out on this one. So, cheers to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. And Stacy, cheers to you as well. Hope you're doing well. I've been seeing you across the chats today, so good to continue seeing you. Hopefully, you're having a good night and enjoying some great pours. All right, let's move to the 20-year from the 10-year. We're gonna rapid fire these. Man, every time I take this 20-year, I'm like, this is elevated. This is a $12 price difference between the 10-year and the 20-year. 100% recommend making that leap. Pay the 12 extra dollars, get the 20-year. I think it's a sweet spot, as Joseph said earlier. It's just a really great, balanced, spicy, sweet, effervescent, cherry, a little bit of that fig raisin, but like not quite as much as the older ones. Really, really, really great flavor. Yes, 5 major grapes used in port: Nacional, Roriz. I'm not going to pronounce these right because I am not Portuguese. Baraka, Cow, and Francesca. There's another 80 or so, but they're blenders. Yeah, Joseph, this is the info. Yeah, I saw this as well. I couldn't name them. I didn't want to attempt to, but now that you listed them out, I have to name them. So yeah, but thank you for sharing. Yeah, some really don't know anything about those individually. I do know that the Nacional is one of the most coveted grapes of Portugal. I do know it's like probably one of the more expensive ones as well. Oh, Stacey loves some port. Yeah, I'm exploring it. I've had it once before, but I'm so excited to dive back in. Donnie says, "Dang it, now I have to jump in." Well, Donnie, you are entered. You may have a chance against beating these fools. Just kidding. Y'all aren't fools. I love y'all. I just like stirring up the competition, right? You're like, oh, well, they can't win. I better win. I love that. Dang, and I never win, so my chances are decreasing. Maybe a little bit there, Don, but all in the interest of me. Here's the 30-year. Diving into those darker flavors. Fig, as we said. Now that's a double price jump. We're jumping from $52 to $104, $105. That's a big jump. Now we're gonna jump another $50 to the 40-year. Mm. Oh my. That's I've got my ranking. If y'all ready to hear my ranking of all these? All right, I got it. My number one between the 10, 20, 30, and 40-year port, considering price, considering flavor, considering this is my second time trying it ever. My favorite of these age-dated ports has to go to the 40-year. This is exquisite. This is delicious. I think there's so many complex flavors here. It has so much more body and character and richness than the others. The only caveat is the price. It's $150 per bottle. This is something, if you have, make sure you have a way to preserve it. Make it last. Don't drink this all in like 2 nights, right? Make it last, savor it, and just enjoy it. Just a little bit at a time. There's some really great things going on with it. But now let's talk about my second favorite. My second favorite is $100 cheaper than this bottle. That, of course, is the 20-year. This is half the age, half the age, a third of the price, right? And that's the caveat. Patrick said, "Is it 3 times better than the 20-year?" Pretty close. The 20-year, great flavors, great sweetness, a little bit on the more fortified flavors, the darker fruits. Flavor wise, they're very similar. Body wise, they're very different. The richness and the texture of the 40-year makes the 20 pale in comparison. That alone makes it to me seem worth the jump in price. Now, that being said, you notice I skipped over the 30-year, right? The 30-year is good, don't get me wrong, but for double the price of the 20-year, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. I think it's a bit more tannic, brings on some of those darker, more nuanced flavors, but not quite as much as the 40-year. It just kind of feels like an in between, but not like in the better of ways. It feels like an in between step, and price wise, it's a freaking jump, double the price. So I do recommend, for if you're trying this for the first time, first try the 20-year. Absolutely recommend trying that first. If you love it, jump to the 40. Skip the 30. If you don't have a tasting step, skip the 30. Try the 40 out. If you feel like it's not worth it, maybe then try the 30. But you could always just go back to the 20 and enjoy the heck out of it. So the 30 is my next to last place. Good, but $100 good, debatable. And last but not least, well, it's least because it's the youngest, but last place for me is the 10-year. It's a great starting point. It's sweet. It's approachable for everyone. I think everyone would get a kick out of this bottle, especially if they've never had port before. $40 doesn't break the bank, although I do recommend jumping to the 20-year. Now, I will say in my area, there are no full-size ones of this one available. The 10's only available in 375 milliliter bottles, which is like $20. So I just doubled it to reach the $40 price point. So maybe if you're just looking for a smaller bottle, maybe this is the way to go. But I will say, like, if you add it up, it's basically half the price of the 20. I think the 20's, or no, sorry, $10 less than the 20. I think the 20's the way to go. Stacey said, "You had me at port." Well, cheers to you, Stacey. You are now entered into the Wheel of Port giveaway, which will be spinning in 1 minute. So if anyone has been on the fence and they're like, "I want to get in on this," now is your last chance. I'm cutting it off at 7:50. You have about 60 seconds to get your entry in if someone else wants to enter. Otherwise, we are spinning the Wheel of Whiskey. Or if someone wants to double their chances and get another chance to win, you can always enter more. But no, I appreciate all y'all that I've done that. Now I've called this Wheel of Whiskey. So how do I it's still going to be called Wheel. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Wheel of Port. We're going to change it. Who wants to bet I will forget to rename this on the next stream? Almost guarantee it. I feel like I'm really bad about things like that, especially like last minute catches. I think I'm pretty bad about it, but we'll see. We'll see if we miss it. All right. So I want to make sure everyone is accounted for in the Wheel of Port before we pull that up on the screen. Wow, so many great entries. I appreciate all y'all so much. Make sure everyone is accounted for. All right. Wheel of Porto. All right, I think we are ready to call it. So that is the end of the entries. Let's go ahead and pull up the Wheel of Port. Let me share my screen. There we go. All right, shuffled entries a couple times. Hide that. All right. Wheel of Port. Well, before we spin again, I want to say thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Hey, if you haven't hit it yet, it's a free way to support the channel. It does make a huge difference on the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not yet subscribed, I'm here Thursday nights. So if you want to come back and be notified, make sure to hit the bell button right after you subscribe and hit all notifications. And that way you'll be notified every time I go live. If you don't want to be notified, just hit subscribe and skip the bell button. But I appreciate a good reminder. So, with that being said, let's spin, not spill, spin the wheel of por- and in the greatest upset of all time, Mr. Hashtag I Never Win, Mr. Freaking Hawaii, Don Nishida. Don, I'm just going to drop these off at your house when I come visit. I know you're not going to be there, but I might just drop them off at your house. Don, congratulations to you. What? I know. But Don, rigged. I promise y'all saw it live. It was not rigged at all. You can drop them off at my house. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank y'all all so much for entering. This has been such a fun exploration. I may go buy myself a 40-year-old port, or I might just stick with the 20-year. Let's say I'm a budget conscious, like I struggle to buy whiskey over $100. So like realistically, I'll probably more likely buy the 20-year, but that 40-year is something special. So thank y'all so much for watching. Hey, like I said, remember to go check out Joe's stream that he has coming up tomorrow, I believe. He dropped the link earlier. Joe, feel free to drop your link again. But thank y'all so much for watching. I will be doing our after party hangout for everyone $10 and up on Patreon. If you're curious about that, you can join patreon.com/bourbonbites. The $10 tier gets you access to our after party, which is about to happen. But you can support for as low as $2 a month. It really does support the channel. So cheers to y'all. Cheers to all the incredible super chatters. Thanks so much for making this another incredible Thursday night. So with that, have a great one. Enjoy your whiskey or port, how you like to drink it, or explore different spirits. That's what I encourage the most. Explore. Don't stick to your usual. Venture out. Try cocktails you never tried. Try wines. Try beers. Freaking just try the world. That's all I gotta say. Try the world. You might like it. So cheers. I'll see y'all on next Thursday, most likely. We'll see. Work's about to get crazy, but let's plan for it. Maybe a birthday stream. Give me ideas. Leave me comments below your ideas. All right. Cheers.